Yeah, I don't either.
All right, we're officially called a work session, I guess, to order. 9:30 for October 7th. We had nothing scheduled for the work session, so does anybody have anything good of the order to discuss?
Very little. We got this letter, I don't know if we all got this letter from the Northwest Water and Sewer District.
I have not seen it yet.
It's addressed to board presidents, so maybe you should have got it instead of me.
Okay.
They're just wanting to come meet with us and introduce themselves, and we have met with them, that's.
Oh, that's
very-
people that were gonna help us with New Riggle.
Yeah. So I don't know if they realize that, or if we wanna schedule anything with them, or we're gonna ignore them, or what. I
What,
figured
is that the group over to Bowling Green? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any, we can't meet with them, if we have anything in particular where.
Yeah, we had met with them before, and then they were supposed to work with Mark, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is more of a general, we just wanna come
Yeah.
tell you what we
Oh.
do.
Yeah, it's
thing
not
that-
specific to any project.
But maybe they don't realize they've already met, I don't care what we do.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I wouldn't mind if they come to just a regular session, not to make this a special meeting for them. I
Sure.
wouldn't mind to hear all that they do, and I think if it gets in the paper, maybe, I don't know, the Public or Bloomville or some of those other townships that may be helpful, but just got in the paper, what they do. Versus, we know, and they know what doing for New Riggle, but this way the public knows, and, or maybe other issues, that-
Yeah.
A work session or something?
yeah.
Anything else?
It's October, so I'd like to get started on some budgets. We had Budget Commission this morning, and they're gonna start doing their revenue requests not till November. I don't know if we wanna kinda assume or project that they're gonna at least leave revenue the same, and I could start drafting up cause the changes in budget, main changes is gonna be salaries, cause we have an extra pay, an extra weekend.
And how much is that?
An extra pay
Yeah, 300,000,
for everybody,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, just general fund would be.
Yeah,
I don't know, a couple 100,000?
yeah,
I'm not sure.
I'd have to calculate it. So we're gonna have to add that in, so it's gonna appear that the budgets are going up, but it's only going up because of the extra pay for the
It's gonna go up
salary
for that
lines.
extra pay if nothing else.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure, yeah.
I can't imagine the budget commission would lower what they give us last year because sales tax has been.
Yeah, and we're running ahead this year, and it looks like we're gonna close out the year at a respectable level there, a little bit of carryover, so.
I would think it's a fairly good assumption that as you begin working on it,
Okay.
that it's gonna be the same as last year.
That-
If
I
we
think
at
at
least, minimum,
least.
a minimum.
Alright. Probably get my letters drafted up for the elected officials, and usually, unless you guys wanna change how we do it, unless they have a drastic increase or decrease, not really decrease, increase in their budgets. We don't usually do budget meetings, but we can. Usually if they just leave it the same as last year, and then whether the commissioners, if we have the funding, do cost of living raise or something like that, we do those adjustments, but unless they're planning on a new server, or they're planning on a new vehicle, or
Hiring people.
something like that,
Yeah.
but.
I think that sounds good. I mean, they can come talk to us if they want to at any time, but
Sure,
if,
yep.
if they got some kind of big increase, we'll probably wanna talk to them.
I know we're a little early on this, but are we gonna look at giving any raises this year, any increases? That's something that we need to, of course, that final decision, in my mind, doesn't really come down till sometime in December, but
Sure.
I think it's something we need to kind of think about now and play with some numbers as we're putting in there.
I think as we look at it, if it's looking like we're gonna have the room for that, we ought to look at doing something. Again, and I say this because, and you're gonna be probably aware of it with your place, is the competitiveness there is for employees out there. I don't wanna see us get to the point where we're hurting ourselves because we're losing employees because we got something last year, but we all know what's happening with the inflation rates too, and we've not kept up with that and couldn't. But if it's in times when we can, because there's some hiring bonuses happening and other things, and there's unemployment below 5%, is significantly a time that the majority of people who want to work are working. And so as things are going well and they need to hire people, people will leave for a dollar raise or whatever it is. You know, they have to, they gotta support their families.
The job market is improving,
Yeah.
and we have to be cognizant of that. I look at that on the business, and that's quite frankly our biggest challenge going forward. It's not a matter of can you get enough business in, can you get enough people there to take care of the business you got? I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of a difficult situation, but you're absolutely right. I mean, so we have to be, in a downturn market, because then revenues go down, it's a different thing. We're in an upturn market now, and we gotta keep pace with our competition. Competition is anyone that employs people, so.
I guess I have a question, if we're looking for things, I didn't know if your committee had a chance to approve that final draft for the commissioners.
We, Stacy sent it off to Corsa, and they had a couple very minor recommendations on it. So, it was decided that we better come back as a committee and meet again, so that everyone's on board with it, with those final drafts. And I talked with Judge Shuff last night, and hopeful to get something around it. Because of people's travel schedule and so forth, one of the members is going on vacation the next couple of weeks, and we want to make sure that we have buy-in from all the members. And so our hope is that that's going to be coming in the next week. I was hopeful to have it this week, but because of the minor changes, of course, the sheriff had something that he wanted to call the sheriff's department versus, again, just minor issues. But something we do need to be thinking about is assuming this policy is going to be adopted by the committee and brought forth to the commissioners, and assuming, I know what assumptions get everybody, assuming that we agree to it, we're going to have to be thinking in the back of our mind that because there's a big push for this winter wonderland thing. And to be able to make some decisions on that, and everything that I've seen so far, what they're asking to do with this winter wonderland with the ice rink and going to do some ice sculptures and blah 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 kind of thing, that would fit within the framework of the policy that the committee has tentatively approved so far. So, but we need to be thinking of that as commissioners, and as I have told them, I guess they tried to come up and fill out the application earlier. I was told that they were, but I said, you can't give the application to Stacy because she doesn't have any guidelines yet.
Yeah,
And the commissioners don't have any guidelines yet, so it's gotta come out of this committee, and it's just gotta,
Yeah.
and from their perspective, they have to make some purchases and so forth and so on. This is strictly a nonprofit. This has got nothing to do, all that the county's involved with it is we may let them use the courthouse lawn. But other than that, and they have to have all the liability insurance, they have to have the security, they have to have all of those things that they have to take care of.
I looked at the potential guidelines, I thought they looked fine, I didn't have a problem with any of the,
The only suggestion, when I'm looking at it, is talking about, I have to get permission from all the judges. Previously, it was the administrative judge, so I only have to try to catch one of them instead of trying to get, which I
That's
did
good.
clarify, because it said common pleas judges, and technically Jay's a common pleas judge, and he said, no, just the judges that are in the courthouse, so I
Yeah,
said, can we go back to the administrative judge that way? And maybe the administrative judge wants to coordinate with the other judge, but let them do that instead of me having to chase
That's
both
a good
of the
idea.
judges down.
Good idea.
I'll
Could you
bring that
suggest that and
recommendation
see
up.
what
It
they,
just becomes less cumbersome on you.
yeah,
I'm fine.
one of them's out of town or something.
Yeah.
because they always talk about them anyway, but that's the way it was, and I see that was
I'll have to-
changed, so.
Review it again, because I looked at it before being gone, and I read it.
It's,
Maybe I can roll one.
There was a line there, the Board of County Commissioners reserves the right to deny use of the courthouse square. I think that's important that we keep that in there. if something
yeah,
comes
yeah,
up.
that we, the commissioners still have the absolute authority, and, I mean, with this committee, we cannot address every, or, I mean, we're gonna have a Bible,
Yeah.
you know, that we're gonna have to go through. So we're trying to keep it as simplistic as possible, but also that is fair to the people that wanna use it, and it's, takes care of the county's responsibility and liabilities, part of it, so.
Okay. I have a message on my answering machine from the ice skating people, and I'm just gonna call them back later today, and I just wondered where this was all at.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, they had to make a decision, and they went out and got private donations and purchased an ice skating rink. And
Yeah, but I think it's a good-
hopeful,
I think it's a
hopeful
good
that it
thing.
can go there, but again, I've been very insistent along, because I've been on the committee, that you gotta have the liability insurance, and they're gonna have the same carriers that we've got through United Insurance, and you gotta have security.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a good.
Gotta be a fence you put around it, and all of those things. Now, you're gonna be able to use it in December? I don't know. Yes.
I like to think it wouldn't be cold enough for ice,
I
but
would
not
hope
to
so,
dampen
yeah.
their spirit.
If you wanna,
Just kind of
what
the
you call it a wading pool in December.
some Christmas
Some of those
ducks.
things have coolers under them that maybe.
No, no,
get
no,
Mr. Goshi has a
no, that's
question.
this is strictly just, it's gonna be 6 inches deep, or maybe less than that, and it's gonna be
It's might be.
God
water
frozen,
for it.
so call it God frozen.
I understand, and I don't have any memory of this, but I understand there was a program, or whatever you call it, a schedule or a thing set up for this in the past at some point. Well, what's the story on that? I mean, has anybody looked at that and seen what was, there was some kind of a usage thing set up within the last few years
For the
on use-
courthouse square?
for the courthouse?
Yes, but
Property.
there was guidelines, but we chose to review those and update them and make sure that, because there was an increase of the number of requests we were getting, to make sure we kind of factored in all of the things, so we had a system. So
Okay, I was just wondering how much it changed, really.
I don't know if there was a lot of changes to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I glanced at it, and honestly, I've got to read it again, like I said, it was right before I was gone for a few days.
And I'm still gonna have the other one for, our other grounds.
Yeah, this pertains only to the courthouse lawn. That's, the other use of county property is all gonna fall under the old rule, and we're specifically.
Okay, the old rule covered everything
Yeah.
then, huh?
Yeah.
It is more because the request, increase in request, and some of them coming for different, it typically always was weekends.
Yeah.
You know, never seemed to be anybody wanting it other than on the weekends, and we started seeing more of that for other types of time frames and that kind of stuff. We thought it was worth reviewing. The
Maybe there was
judges
some-
asked us to please review it, and
I knew there was something out there, but I didn't know, I can't remember how long ago it was or
Yeah.
anything, but it was some period in the past.
yeah.
Within the, probably the last 7, 8 years, I think, maybe, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Talking with Dean today, Distal, it looks like that Klaus Construction is in the final phase of putting that, they're finishing that thing up. So I think get that behind us now.
Yeah, did
Are
they
we-
provide you an update, or did you catch anybody?
I talked to them a little bit. They said they're about done. They're waiting for Keynes to come back in and set the doors, and,
Are they doing new doors, or just resealing doors, or?
they're using our current doors. They're putting new, he called it a piano hinge,
Okay,
to help the load on the doors.
okay.
And they put some new thresholds in, and diverted a lot of where there was just no threshold. There was nothing to divert the water to go out of the building, and it just trickles down each beam, and seems to be that's where we were getting so the rain the other day actually was a good thing, because they could see it, that
What was
Dean
happening.
got them and showed them exactly, so they found a few more spaces to take care of.
Good. I heard Dean mention this morning, they've got somebody in that's gonna do some of the stucco work on this
I've
side
got
of the building.
I got
And
a
then-
quote I was gonna bring up under old business, about that. Klaus and Dean were talking about the pressure washing that we were gonna do, trying to figure out if we were doing this year, who was gonna do it. And, they were looking at some of the spots on the building that we had a car run into the building at one point, like 5 or 6 years ago. It's just got some missing stucco on it, and there's some other cracks that they said should really be fixed prior, and I said, well, the quotes I've gotten for pressure washing doesn't include fixing anything. So, Feasels has been working with Lenny and has given us a quote to fix those bad areas. And I asked Dean, I said, well, if he does pressure washing as well, ask him to give us a quote, just so, you know, sometimes it's easier to have one do it when they're in there.
Yeah.
And so, but, you know, Dean says we need to fix those spots before we go pressure washing on it, because that'll just,
Actually, the pressure washing will hurt it if it's not fixed, because you
Right.
get the water in behind it,
yeah.
it'll start flaking off and stuff.
Yeah, the fixing's about $2,300, so that could probably just come out of our maintenance fund. We wouldn't have to put any in there, but yeah. we'll have to see what he can. He's gonna meet with Dean today at 10 to go over the pressure washing and stuff.
Reference Earl at Palmer Brothers last week, where do we stand at on the roof, you know? I thought that was a great idea that we could do a third, and third. Did we do a third this
Yes.
year?
Yes,
We definitely need to get
money in
a
place.
third
for
in,
that.
set
Yeah.
aside as we do the budgets to get, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it a third, and then the guarantee doesn't start until the last third's done.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then,
Are we gonna look at trying to do the sheriff's
Well, he
or wait until the
thought he
other
could get
3 more years?
3 more years out of that until this.
Yeah.
Did that one-
Okay.
You guys understand?
yeah, and I think it's great, we could just, every year, put in a budget, and we could do the sheriff's, I think, in the same way, a third, and third. So really, we've got a program for the next 5 years
Yeah.
that we need to just budget in there, so. I mean, I think that's a great way to maintain county buildings, is just take a little bite of the apple every year,
Yeah.
Sounds good.
or the lemon, shall I say.
Yeah. I do have an individual that wants to look at 81 Jefferson Street, potentially buyer for that building. So something to think about. We have a lot of records in there. So not sure. We can find a place for them. It might not be pretty, but
What do other counties do? Do they have a records building? I mean, is that something
some
we need to
do.
look at? You could put up a, I don't know, a 4,000 square foot metal building someplace out to the, kind of, and just use that strictly for records. I mean,
Yeah, previous boards had talked about that and they decided against it. Some counties do that, some have gone to the eliminating the paper and scanning and archiving it through that means. We've had a couple quotes come in to where they will go through all of our old records and scan it and everything for us, and then they can house it, or they can bring it back, or we can actually get rid of the records. Some departments, like I'm a treasurer, he's got some old books that he's got scanned, but he just doesn't feel comfortable throwing them away. And there's other elected officials that have got all their stuff scanned, but they insist on keeping the hard copy. That's a lot that's in the 81 Jefferson.
I was gonna say, so we know what's in there.
81 Jefferson? Yeah. Yeah,
We know
'cause
what's in there,
that's-
what years or what departments have stuff in there.
Yeah, yep.
Well, there's no doubt those records will go elsewhere if that building is
it needs
attractive
to.
and somebody wants to
needs
buy it.
It's
That would be
damp
just
and-
lovely.
That would be great.
That would
Yeah,
be.
but there's a lot of stuff in there, so.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a plus for the community if we could sell that to somebody that would do something positive with it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, we have to go through some sort of process if they're interested. We can't just have them make us an offer and sell it to them.
Unless it's another entity.
Oh, I see, okay,
So,
okay.
I'm gonna try to get some
Mary.
quotes on it and stuff, try to
Okay.
get some more
Okay.
information on it, 'cause I just talked to him yesterday, so. But
Great.
thoughts,
Did that come directly here or through, Saga?
conversation,
Okay,
just meeting some people yesterday, and
okay.
they asked about it, if we had any buildings. I'm like, we sure do.
What are you looking for? Anything's for sale for a price?
Yep,
There you go.
yep. I also had somebody looking at CSB too, Fifth Third area, and then they said, well, do you wanna sell it? And I said, well, prosecutor's above there.
We could sell the prosecutor. No, I'm just kidding.
Just throw it in for a while.
Don't quote me on that.
He says, so you're opposed to selling it? I said, oh, no, absolutely not. I'm not opposed to selling it, but
Mhm.
we just have to make arrangements. So, I've got people looking around in Tiffin.
Good.
And David Zach probably has a
Right,
push on all this, so.
yeah, Zedek's obviously done a great job of updating and inventories of buildings and marketing, and so he's keeping information out that people might make a contact for one thing and then discover other things, and that's how, yeah, it gets about, so that's good,
Just some preliminary talks, but hopefully.
yeah. Since we're still in work session, regional planning meeting last week, I wasn't able to go, I don't know that,
I did make it.
you did make it, did they have a start date for their new director?
She's gonna
I'm
start.
assuming they hired the new director.
Yes,
or
they
I
hired the
say
nurse.
yes.
She's gonna start part-time, 1st of November, was it?
Mhm.
And then full-time sometime after that. She's still teaching at OSU right now.
Okay,
December full-time.
Okay.
Sometime in December.
She was in town yesterday, and I went over to regional planning and met with her. She's very nice.
That's awesome.
Okay, awesome.
She will be an
That's
asset.
all right. Well, anything else for work session? Anybody wanna? Well, if not, I guess we'll just take a brief recess before we go into regular session at 10 o'clock.
Okay.